Hello, everyone. Welcome to Wellness Wednesday. So we are going to be interviewing Mike Wang today, who's a high performance coach for empaths and highly sensitive leaders. And I'm really excited to talk to him today. So I'm going to read his bio in just a moment, and then we're going to bring him on for the interview. I just want to let you all know a little bit about this Wellness Wednesday series. So on this Wellness Wednesday series, I've just been trying this out, and it's an opportunity for you to meet some wellness business owners. And we learn about what they do. We learn about tips that you can use to lead a more fulfilling, happy life. We can all use some of those tips these days. Even if you're not an HSP or empath, I want you to open your ears to this conversation, because it's likely that you do have people in your life that are an HSP or an empath, or you might not even know that you are one, and you'll get to know yourself better. So after we go into the interview, then I will be offering our guests some live coaching, about 10 to 15 minutes. And we're going to learn how Mike has been growing his own YouTube channel, and you can apply some of these tips to your channel. And then I'm going to offer him some tips that I have for him, some live coaching for about 10 to 15 minutes, so he can continue to optimize his channel and gain more views and subscribers. All right, so let's go ahead and bring Mike on.
Hi.
Hello, Mike.
Hi, Sarah. Thanks for having me here. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for joining me this afternoon. So I'm just going to go ahead and read your bio.
Okay.
So we can introduce everyone. You can share about your work. So Mike Wang is the creator of a contemplative training program that helps individuals manage their energy and align mental, emotional, and nervous system strategies to generate greater fulfillment in life, work, and relationships. He also is a meditation, kung fu, tai chi, and qigong teacher, having studied these mind-body practices for over 25 years, and has been teaching out of his studio in Boulder, Colorado since 2007. Awesome. So Mike and I, we've known each other for a little while. I believe we met just earlier this year through the coaching program we're a part of.
Yeah. Maybe even late last year. But yeah, it's been great.
Yeah. It's hard to remember. Just time warp.
Absolutely.
But in any case, yeah, I'm really eager to talk to you. Just to be transparent for anyone who doesn't know me or isn't familiar, I am an HSP, highly sensitive person, and an empath, I believe. So I'm really curious to talk to you, Mike, about your work, because I think it's so important to help people who are HSPs and empaths, just learn how to manage their energy. So before we get into some tips, I'm really curious to know, as I think you're familiar, I'm really into story, and hearing people's stories, I think, can be so helpful. So I'm curious to know, what was your journey? You started out with your background in martial arts. How did you come around to high performance coaching?
Yeah, I would say a lot of it is my personal story as well. There's a lot of elements of my life, like career. I used to have a career in IT. There's just a lot of different things where I put in a lot of effort, but ended up not feeling fulfilled at the end. And so that really got me thinking more internally, like what's going on? I feel like I know what I want. And I feel like I'm putting forth the effort to make progress towards those goals. I attain those goals, but I'm still not feeling fulfilled. And so a big part of my coaching and the people that I attract to work with me are highly sensitive people and empaths that are kind of in a similar, story. They tend to have some aspect of their life where they're feeling unfulfilled. It could be their work or their relationships, where they're kind of doing all the right things, but not feeling that deeper fulfillment.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it can feel challenging, at least from my own experience and other people I've talked to as HSPs, um, leading a fulfilling work life, finding that elusive work life balance. But really, I feel like it all comes down just to managing energy. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so I'm curious, for people who aren't familiar, how do you define an HSP or an empath? Like, what is the difference and what are some of the traits that they
Hmm.
have?
I've recently pivoted my coaching practice where I don't necessarily name those labels anymore because
Mm,
I've noticed that I'm attracting people who don't necessarily self-identify as those two labels,
hmm.
but they would fall under that label from a
Ah,
Western psychology standpoint.
yeah.
But I feel like I'm attracting a wider audience that I'm meant to serve. But to kind of go back and answer like talk a little bit about energy management, to me, that's kind of like half the equation. So I have an equation that I often share, and it's
Cool.
mindful visioning plus energy management equals fulfillment. And so the energy management piece is like having the skills to be able to take action towards our vision or our goals. Whereas the
Hmm.
mindful visioning to me is equally important. Like I talked a little bit about my story, I had what I thought was clear vision. I put forth the effort, but I still wasn't fulfilled. And
Hmm.
that's where the lack of clarity or not knowing what I truly wanted, not having
Hmm.
clarity around what I truly wanted was that missing piece for me. And it's kind of like it's an equation. So it's, from my perspective, we're constantly working and refining both elements. Um,
Yep.
and so to me, vision is a big part of the work that I do right now. And so vision, I believe, is like the underlying emotion that we want to feel as a result of like attaining that vision. So, like, if we want a new job, it's not necessarily the job itself that we want, but
Hmm.
how we feel or how we believe we will feel as a result of getting that job. And so I
Yeah.
do a lot of work around kind of defining, clarifying those underlying emotional states that we wish to experience in life. And then after that, really, or simultaneously,
Hmm.
is learning or practicing energy management skills. And to me, energy is I define it very broadly. Like I see our thoughts as energy, our emotions as energy,
Hmm.
and so a lot of what I help people with is just actually developing a better relationship with the self, like their
Hmm.
inner landscape, their thought patterns, emotional patterns, and then learning how to transform them to kind of um, influence, our decisions and our actions, which of course then lead to results and outcomes that we want.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Oh, that's amazing. Yeah, I hadn't even thought about, I mean, I'm actually working on my vision, but I
Mm-hmm.
hadn't thought of that as sort of the trajectory, to really work with your emotions, like starting
Mm.
with the vision.
Mm-hmm.
And that
Yeah.
totally makes sense because I feel like, we're so sensitive, or we
Mm-hmm.
can, just like really shut down, I feel like, or get
Yes.
into overwhelm if we're not
Absolutely.
aligned
Yes.
personally and in our work life.
Absolutely. Yeah. Overwhelm is one of the primary things that clients come to me with, whatever facet of life or all of life.
Mhm.
And to me, a lot of my process is about training focus. So, focusing on the emotional states or inner experience that we actually want to have,
Uh-huh.
I think is key. So, because like in periods of overwhelm, I know for myself, it's because like I'm, just like, what do I focus on? There's so much coming at me in life.
Yeah.
And then I can shut down or run away or, you know, disengage. And then when we do that, we actually can't make, move the needle towards vision. So,
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I could have like an hour conversation about that, about
Yeah.
managing the overwhelm. And I know, there's so much talk in general just about self-care. Um,
Yes.
I'm
And
trying
I
to think of how to phrase this question. I just feel like, if someone is an empath, a lot of the overwhelm might not even be what they're experiencing. I mean, their
exactly.
own emotions.
Yes.
So, what are some tips that you have, like for separating out,
Yeah.
whether we're absorbing other people's energy or if it's something we're
Sure.
experiencing? That's personally something I get confused on
Yeah.
quite often.
For me, a lot of it, I mentioned briefly before, is about kind of cultivating the relationship with the self. So we often believe that just because we've lived with ourselves our whole lives, that we should somehow know who we are. And I've rarely found that to be the case. And so
Mhm.
a lot of what I coach around is really like knowing, getting to know our inner landscape. So like what is our mind thinking, what is our mind focusing on,
Mhm.
and I believe that our thoughts kind of create our, like, kind of reinforce our emotional states. So like if we have the thought that, oh, I'm productive, that's going to generate a certain emotional state within us, and
Mhm.
then it's kind of like a loop. They kind of feed each other, and then we have other reinforcing thoughts that are created out of that. And so understanding those patterns that are occurring inside of us is the only way that we can actually change them
Mm.
or transform them.
Uh-huh.
Like if we're not aware of what's going on within us, then we're kind of just operating under like conditioning, one would
Yeah.
say, versus like actually creating what we want. Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. That it seems like it will take a while to develop that practice. I mean,
Yeah, and that's why. So I don't think it's out there anymore. So I didn't mention it to you, but that's actually my main focus right now, is creating and documenting the process that I take my one-on-one clients through, and then
mhm.
actually putting it in a course format. And I'm so
Oh,
close to
wow.
finishing, so I'm
Uh-huh.
excited. It's going to be released October 1st,
Oh,
but
wow.
it's a 12-week program. But I really see this type of practice. It's like developing a relationship, so it's never ending from my perspective.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
so even the course, even though it's designed to be a 12-week course, like it's really one that I hope people kind of take over and over again,
Yeah.
because we're always discovering new things. Like I'm, of course, always discovering new things within myself, but it takes time and patience and practice. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And I just when I heard you say, it is something that we have to develop,
Hmm.
and I just thought, um I mean, it's spiritual practice. It's like it
Yes.
is a
Hmm.
lifelong practice. There's always new layers that
Hmm.
we can discover. We might think
Hmm.
we know ourselves, like you mentioned, and yeah, it's like a new experience might seem like something we could handle or we shouldn't be overwhelmed by,
Yeah.
but we just continue to develop like new levels of awareness, it seems
Hmm.
like, using some of
Yeah,
the tools that you offer.
exactly. Yeah. And that's kind of where I think things like resiliency and perseverance come in. And that's something a really strong focus of this course is really that it's a practice.
Mhm.
And it's not a quick fix. It's really something where we really practice just being with ourselves, which is very
Mhm.
it's kind of rare in this day and age, I feel, with just a lot of information coming at us, a lot of different energies coming at
Yeah.
us with different intentions behind them. And so,
Mhm.
really, just being able to be with ourselves, know ourselves, is, I think, the greatest thing as highly sensitive people and empaths that we can kind of practice. Um, because then we can
Yeah.
more clearly see what's ours and what's other people's,
Mhm.
and when we kind of know ourselves, the more we know ourselves, the easier it is to essentially set boundaries, or they just happen naturally. It's not
Mhm.
necessarily, oh no, I got to put up this wall.
Yeah.
which actually separates me from this outside. It's like, no, I know who I am, and I just show up as me, and yeah.
Yeah, and not having to shut down, because I feel
Yeah,
like sometimes as an HSP or
absolutely.
empath, we just end up taking like an inordinate amount of time to recover from an
Yeah.
experience that, it could just be simply overstimulation. Like if I go to, a crowded event, if I go to
Yes.
a concert,
hmm
other people might recover within 24 hours,
Yeah.
but it might take an HSP or empath like 3 days.
hmm
And yeah, I feel like that's the message that has been coming to me. And what I'm
hmm
hearing you say is like,
Yes.
it's just, it's almost like a full-time job, I feel like. And I'm still getting into acceptance about that. Like,
Yeah.
oh man,
And
but
I guess I have two thoughts that come up. One is, yeah, I believe self-care. My Chinese medicine teacher always said, like, self-care is your full-time job. He literally used those words.
mm,
So essentially, we that is really the most important job that we have, is
yeah.
to love and care for ourselves. And the second thing that I think I don't see as much talked about in the HSP coaching space is really like this focus on developing resiliency and perseverance. So I do think it's
Mhm.
actually very important. While I do believe in, there's a correct application and timing for many different ways of coaching.
Mhm.
But I find who I attract the most are the people who are at a point where they see the value in consistent practice in developing resiliency, so that we don't have to necessarily be afraid of going out and experiencing the world.
Yeah.
And to me, it's just like going to the gym. It's like building a muscle. We The more we kind of practice our self-care, the more we can kind of expand our edges, so that we're not controlled by our external environment as much.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And that just makes me think that it seems important to have this kind of mind shift. I would love
hmm
to hear your thoughts of like, there are many gifts that
hmm
HSPs and empaths have. So it's not just about the negative experience or
Yes.
the
hmm
kind of abnormal processing that
Yes.
we have going on. So what are some of those gifts that we can kind of rely on and appreciate? Because
Sure.
we don't want
Yeah.
HSPs and empaths to, just have this negative experience all the
Yeah.
time.
I mean, there's so many. I know for myself, a lot of it is just actually like the depth of processing, depth of thinking, depth of feeling, which enables me, especially as an empath, to really relate and connect to just a wide range of different people and their experiences.
Mm-hmm.
And I think without that, I couldn't be an effective coach. I couldn't be an effective teacher from my perspective in the other arts that I teach at my studio.
Mm-hmm.
It's a lot about connection. It's what allows us to actually, at least allows me to experience deep connections with humanity, art. uh, yeah,
Mm-hmm. That
so
makes
much.
sense. Yeah, and I really wanted to hear you speak that out loud and
Yeah,
verbalize it, just as a reminder to
yeah,
everybody, like, because I
absolutely.
feel like, yeah, it is just so easy to, kind of
To
just hide, get
Yeah.
overwhelmed.
Yes, and that was a big kind of catalyst for me wanting to share this process that I'm developing, because, when I first started coaching, I worked with a lot of highly sensitive people that were kind of just in this kind of self-blaming, victim, disempowered state. And of course, that's heartbreaking, but it inspired me to create something that I hope, that will allow them to kind of get to the space where they can actually see their gifts and what they bring to the world, and even to like the world at large, but even just their individual relationships with people and
Mm-hmm.
partners animals, even like everything.
Yeah, that's wonderful. And it really seems like that's kind of harnessing the energy that we have.
Mm-hmm.
Seems to really be something you've been able to develop with your martial arts back. I don't
Mm-hmm.
know a lot about martial arts, but just in
Yeah.
terms of harnessing energy.
Mm-hmm.
And I love that. I love that you've really reflected on that. And now you're
Yeah.
making it into something you can offer to
Mm-hmm.
people because, again, we do want to rely on our gifts and not
Mm-hmm.
just, have to be a victim or
Yeah,
stay in all these negative mind states that make us
absolutely.
feel so, so like so much like we don't fit in, I think is
Yes,
the bottom line.
absolutely. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's wonderful. So if you don't mind, or if you would like to, I welcome you to share. Are there any just tips that people could take away today that, maybe
Mm.
they feel overwhelmed at the moment, or, they
Mm-hmm.
don't know where to turn, or, don't
Yeah.
even know they're an HSP? Like, are there some things they could do, just really quick tips
Really
that
quick
you might be able
tips.
to offer?
So I think, a lot of it starts with what I call vision. So kind of identifying and naming the inner experiences that they want to feel. So even in a state of overwhelm, just trying to almost disrupt what's going on and really just really feel into how they actually want to experience. And for me, it's always a love-based state. I mean, it's for all humans, I believe, a love-based state, but it can
Hmm.
come across in many different ways. Meaning it could be like, oh, I want to focus on the emotional state of love or compassion or gratitude. And I would say that that would be probably very foundational if I were to just name one tip. And of course, I understand when we're overwhelmed, it's very hard to to bring our focus there, and that's why I actually think it does take practice.
Hmm.
But I'm also a big believer in like natural breath work, like
Hmm.
natural breathing, because that has an effect on the nervous system.
Hmm.
But a quick tip would be to proactively kind of name the emotional state that one would like to return to as a place of center groundedness, and
Hmm.
just bring that to the front of mind. Yeah.
That's great. Yeah, it really can be that simple.
Hmm.
I know I've, spoken to so many people and done my own research about,
Yeah.
hey, how do I regulate my nervous system? And of
Hmm.
course, I mean, breathing just seems to
Yes.
be
Hmm.
foundational,
Absolutely.
but building that awareness, like you said, I
Hmm.
mean, it can just really just change everything.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Okay, well, before we go into the coaching, we're
Hmm.
gonna, if you're still open to it,
Yeah.
we'll look at your YouTube
Great.
channel and
Thank
give
you.
you some tips on building your channel. Um, but I would love, if you are interested, you can share with our audience, where can they find you. We'll put your email, or your sorry, your website
Website.
below.
Yeah.
But yeah, when can they find out about the course? Could they sign up
Yeah.
on your email list?
Sure. Yeah, so I actually just moved over my website to a new hosting platform, Simplero, which
Mm.
our mutual
Mhm.
friend uses. But so it's kind of still, building, but on there is a link to get on the wait list for the upcoming course, which is coming out October 1st,
Okay.
which is a Saturday. It is a self-paced course in a way, but I think it's great to just kind of have something for this last quarter of
Yeah.
2022. And I would say that is currently the best place to kind of see what I'm doing and connect with me, and also learn
Mhm.
more about the upcoming course. And that's
Wonderful.
mikewongcoaching.com.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll link that below, and we'll link your course when it goes
Great.
live.
Awesome. Thank you.
So yeah, everybody go check that out. And now we will move over. I'm going to share the screen
Great.
here so we can look at your YouTube channel.
And so just to give a little background, I actually started the YouTube channel a few years ago
Okay.
It used to be under a different kind of name, Way of Kung Fu, which is kind of reflective of the studio work that I do. And so I would love your feedback, because now that I wasn't coaching the way I'm coaching now back then. And so a lot of the content was just in hopes of being able to help people with different, psychospiritual topics. But right now, I'm very focused on kind of this like sharing the process that I talked about with you, and also some of the the reasons why that process is so helpful to people. Like kind of the background science and the art and science background of that process.
Wonderful. Yeah, I can see there's a lot of opportunity for tutorials and, just breaking out individual topics for each video.
Yeah.
And also, I just want to share that I notice, you really have put a lot of effort into YouTube. It seems like you've been doing it for many years. When did you start the first channel?
I don't recall, but I believe I made a self goal of sorts for weekly uploads for a year, and I did it for a little bit over a year.
That's great.
But then actually, that's when I started to actually focus more attention on the coaching. And now I'm kind of want to restart, now that I have a more defined process, that I am getting successful feedback from one-on-one clients. Like, I think I'm ready to re-engage social media in the upcoming months, and so I imagine the channel will change a little bit and get a little bit more focused.
Yeah, and that's common, and I just commend you for just getting started and being consistent, because I feel like that's the only way we can tell, what we want to talk about. We're like developing our own skills, both the technical skills as well as speaking, as well as, what we actually want to communicate. And so it is going to change over time. And then we have to see, directly what the audience on YouTube is interested in. So it's a big process. But the main key, the foundation you already have, which is staying consistent.
Great.
Like, when you've decided to go put time into your channel.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I'm a big proponent of consistency. So
I can tell. Yeah. It really does help so much, especially with social media.
Cool.
So let's go ahead. I'm going to share the channel here. Screen. Okay, so it's going to be on this monitor here.
Great.
All right, so here's your channel, and I have the TubeBuddy plugin. So any channel I go to on YouTube, it gives me the analytics, which is interesting. And if you don't have, by the way, TubeBuddy installed, I would recommend it. It's only like $4.50 a month, and it's so worth it, just to be able to dive into your analytics and dive into SEO. So first of all, we'll just take a pause here and say congratulations. You have almost 14,000 views. Really great, for 78 videos over a lifetime. So that's over many years. Okay. And so it's interesting because on my phone, I don't know if I've seen this before. I'm fascinated. On my phone, I see your featured video. But for some reason, when I'm on the desktop, I'm not able to see. I know you have a featured video. I don't know if that's something YouTube has changed. But in any case, definitely look at your featured video. Let me see if it's on my channel here. On the homepage. Okay, the live video is coming up right now. That's interesting. Okay. Maybe YouTube changed this around. But in any case, it is on mobile. And your featured video, I had a suggestion for you because it comes up right at the top. If you want to just share a 90-second video, just sharing your story, like how you got into coaching and why you're passionate about it, just talking about your why and why you're doing this YouTube channel. What can people get if they decide to stay and browse your videos? So that can be helpful just to engage people. And it's all about building know, like, and trust, getting people to be like, oh, I see why Mike is different from that other coach who is talking about empaths, So gets them to really develop an emotional connection with you. And then another tip for the homepage here, I would recommend, I know you have several playlists, which is great. You've already gone in and put a lot of your videos on different playlists. So, and I know this might change because you're doing different topics, it sounds like.
Yeah.
But what you could do is I would, first of all, put a playlist of your most popular videos.
Okay.
So even if those aren't the topics you're necessarily going to talk about, a year from now or continue to talk about, people are interested in those videos. So having that right on the homepage, and then a playlist, that you feel is like a topic that you're always talking to people about. And, you want people to know about this is your main expertise. Is it self-care? Is it, something else?
Would you recommend, as I kind of pivot, even my coaching practice, would you recommend keeping all of the old videos?
Yeah, I think so. Because they are continuing to get traffic. And, unless it's a video that's just so different. But I do recommend, even if it's just like periphery, it's something that's related to the new topics that you're talking about. It's not maybe exactly tied in with that topic, but I think a lot of these topics are most likely related to what you're about to teach. And then you can just continue, so in other words, the audience that's finding these videos, they're most likely going to be interested in the new one. So,
all right. Thanks.
Yeah. So building your playlist, your story video, and then the other thing that stood out to me is I think you've done a really good job with these thumbnails. I can see, people are watching these. A channel with under 1,000 subscribers, that's the typical amount of views. I mean, getting over 100 videos, that's really good. So you've got several videos. You've got one with almost 2,000. And I do think the thumbnails are making a big difference. So one suggestion, if you want to just tweak it or improve upon it, is the actual title in the thumbnail doesn't have to match the title here. So like YouTube, in other words, they're not, scanning the thumbnail to see, oh, is the title. So you can have it something that's related, and also think about how can you tell a story in the thumbnail. So I don't know, have you seen, there is a trend right now on YouTube, and I think it's good. It's like, I'm not about following every trend, but it's very useful and interesting because what people are doing, they're putting different text and even very minimal text. And it might be actually just one word with a question mark. So it's creating a story that raises interest. Like, what we want to think about, in other words, is most of the people, and you can confirm this just going into your analytics, where are people finding these videos? Have you ever looked into it?
Not recently, not for the newer videos. In the past, the highest performing videos actually came when some other channel or podcast actually kind of took the audio, or shared it with their audience. So I've
Oh,
even
cool.
had some platforms like Happify. Um, yeah, just some of those types of personal development sites
Oh,
actually
that's great.
spotlight some of my content. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's wonderful because that can be a good portion of traffic.
Mm-hmm.
And every person is different. I feel like every creator has a different source where they can send traffic. So for some
Mm.
people, it might be they have a Facebook audience or Twitter,
Mm.
but it's figuring that out. And so if you know, oh, I can
Okay.
get my videos visible on in this particular website,
Yeah. Okay.
drawing
Great.
traffic, that's
Mm-hmm.
helpful. It's sending the signal to YouTube, and then it will start to show up in other places on YouTube.
Okay. Great. Yeah. Smart.
Yeah, that's awesome. And yeah, as I was saying, just like raising the question
Mm-hmm.
in the video, making that thumbnail intriguing,
Mm-hmm.
and it's basically like, oh, that thumbnail, there's a story there. I know when I
Mm.
click on that, I'm going to understand what
Mm-hmm.
the question the thumbnail is raising. So that's something I'm working on
Okay.
as well.
Great.
Um, and then I would just say also keep the thumbnails consistent because I see
Mm.
it went into a different style.
Yeah.
And I like this font too,
Uh-huh.
I think that's
Yeah.
great.
The earlier fonts, some people gave me the feedback it was hard to read for them. Uh,
On these videos
the
here.
lower ones, yeah. That's why
Okay.
I started experimenting.
Yeah, but what I like about it
Uh-huh.
is you've got a big font and a
Uh-huh.
minimal, there's not a lot of words.
Yeah.
So
Great.
that's not something that a lot of people actually get when they're
Mm-hmm.
doing their YouTube videos. And so, here I think, the color doesn't stand out as much and the
Mm-hmm.
text could be even bigger.
Okay. Great.
Um, and then as long as we're on the page, if I may offer, this is something I'm trying out actually with this series, Wellness Wednesday.
Mm-hmm.
It occurred to me, I was keeping the same thumbnail. I removed where it said the date and time we were going
Mm.
live.
Mm-hmm.
And then it occurred to me, I was like, why would anyone click on a thumbnail that says Wellness Wednesday? Like if it's
Mm.
somebody that's not a subscriber,
Yeah.
and the majority of people on YouTube are getting, and I'm sure this is the case for you, like getting most of our views are from non subscribers.
Mm-hmm.
And so we've got to think about those people. It's a cold audience, they don't know us. So, someone coming across Wellness Wednesday, what is that? That's not even
Mm-hmm.
going to interest them, right? So, I would say for anything that's an interview, think of the main topic and keep the words really minimal. So,
Mm-hmm.
for this one, I think our thumbnail is after this live stream is over, it's just going to be manage your energy, HSPs and empaths,
Mm. Okay.
really big font.
Yeah.
So that's just something you could play
Cool.
around with and
Okay.
think about. Because I think unless the person is like really famous, it can
Mm-hmm.
be hard, to generate views on
Yeah.
interviews.
Mm-hmm.
So that's just something to think about.
All right. Thank you.
Yeah. Is there anything else that I could answer for you or
Oh.
any other challenges?
No, I think this is a great start. Like I've been doing some interviews lately, mostly to kind of play with and practice that format. But yeah, I'm kind of gearing up for this whole kind of new direction for the channel a bit.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, yeah, I mean, I love YouTube. So thanks for, like as a content consumer, YouTube is my favorite platform.
Oh, cool. Me
And
too.
yeah, I think, I mean, I know the studies have shown that even on YouTube, the kind of average length that someone will stay with a video has decreased significantly, even
Yeah.
in just the last few years. But for me, if I, just the longer form content, I think really pulls me in as far as developing a relationship with the person on the other side.
Yeah, absolutely.
Mhm.
And I don't know about you, I just find it more fulfilling.
Yeah,
Even if
right.
the majority of people aren't watching the
Hmm.
entire video, I try not to keep my videos, longer than 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Like 5 minutes is a really
Hmm.
good length.
Okay.
But
Good.
at the same time, it is more fulfilling, I feel like, than, oh, it's a 1 minute video and they
Yeah.
watch 10 seconds,
Yeah.
which is fine.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
good too. But
Hmm. Cool.
yeah. Yeah. Well,
All
thank you
right.
so much,
Yeah.
Mike.
Thanks so much
And
for having me. I love chatting. Yeah.
well, I'll be keeping in touch with you, and just feel free to reach out if you need anything else.
All right.
But we'll be definitely looking out for your course. I know I'm really interested in
Yeah.
it.
Thank
And
you. Yeah. I'm really excited for it. It's been a long time coming, even though I've only now like kind of putting the final touches on. Like conceptually, it's been in my mind for a few years now. So
I relate to
yeah.
that. Yeah.
Cool.
Well,
All
good
right.
for
Thank you
you.
again.
All
Yeah.
right. We'll talk soon, Mike.
All right. Take care.
Take
Bye bye.
care. Bye.